Crowd. This is the Chamber's version of March Madness. Woo! Okay. Welcome to the 2023 Mayoral Luncheon with Mayor Neil O'Leary. Yeah. I'm Mary Chapelone of Biondi and Rosengrant Real Estate Appraisal, located right here in Waterbury. And I have the privilege of serving as chair of the board of directors of the Waterbury Regional Chamber. We are delighted that so many of you took the time to be with us today as we focus on our great city. We appreciate all of the state and elected officials and dignitaries who are here today with us, as I'd like to acknowledge Senator Joan Hartley, for sure, Representative Bill Pizzuto. We have a number of aldermen and alderwomen here. Board of Aldermen President Paul Pernaruski Jr., Alderman Ernest Brunelli, Alderwoman Mary Grace Cavallo, Alderman Chris Dorso, Alderman Jeffrey Hunter, Alderman Victor Lopez Jr., Alderman Michael Salvio, Alderwoman Belinda Weaver, Waterbury Superintendent of Schools Verna Ruffin, Waterbury Fire Chief Terrence Ballou, and Waterbury Police Chief Fernando Fred Spagnuolo. We're so grateful to the chief elected and municipal officials of our neighboring communities who have joined us today, including Representative Farley Santos, Middlebury First Selectman Ed St. John, Naugatuck Mayor Pete Hess, Watertown Town Manager Mark Ramo, Wolcott Mayor Thomas Dunn, Ansonia Mayor David Cassetti, Bristol Mayor Jeff Caggiano, Derby Mayor Richard DeZekin, and Shelton Mayor Mark Loretti. Full house. Thanks again, all of you, for being with us today. This event is sponsored by numerous companies who value the Chamber's public policy and economic development efforts and continue to support the economic development efforts in the city of Waterbury. And I'd like to thank the sponsors, starting with the platinum sponsors: Hubbard Hall, Inc., KBE Building Corporation, Post University, Secor Cassidy and McPartland, Tomaso Group, Waterbury Hospital, and Works. Our gold sponsors: Carmody, Torrance, Sendak, and Hennessy LLP, Eversource, Holy Cross High School, Ion Bank, King Industries, M&T Bank, Power Station Events, St. Mary's Hospital, Sirocco Mechanical Services, Savings Bank of Danbury, and Webster Bank. We're so fortunate. Thank you. And our silver sponsors: Access Rehab Centers, C2G Environmental Consultants, Levin, Paolino, and Christ Government Affairs, Lurero Engineering, Lou Vata, I didn't say it right. How do we say it? Okay. Luvata Waterbury, Inc., McCall Behavioral Health Network, Naugatuck Valley Community College, Bassani Steel Fabrication, Inc., Republican American, Synagro Northeast, Traver IDC, and Yukon Waterbury. Again, thank you so much for all of your tremendous support of this event and our chamber. And I see that I missed Representative Ron Napoli. No, I see him. I was like, hey, look, I missed you, Ron Napoli, so thank you also for attending. Please welcome to the podium the chairman of the Chamber's Public Policy Committee, Jack Traver of Traver IDC to present our municipal agenda and to introduce our esteemed mayor. Jack.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today's luncheon is one of a series of events produced on behalf of our Chamber's Public Policy Committee. The committee, the Executive Committee, and the Chamber's Board of Directors worked collaboratively to develop our 2023 municipal agenda in conjunction with Chamber member businesses and city officials. Thank you very much to all our committee members and to Chamber lobbyist Armando Paolino, and to our Chamber Director, Government Affairs and Economic Development Chair, Steve Del Vecchio, for producing the final document that you see before you. Our municipal agenda, copies of which can be found at each of your tables, is meant to serve as a guide for the mayor and his administration on issues vital not only to the city's business community, but also to its residents. Priorities are in the areas of fiscal management, economic development, and quality of life, which includes public health, safety, and education. These are vital components to the economic and social well-being of our city, and by focusing on these issues, Waterbury can continue to be a strong, viable location for business and job development. We are especially pleased today to work with Mayor O'Leary, Finance Director Michael LeBlanc, and other city leaders to lead efforts to improve the business climate in the Central Business District by the creation of the Central Business District Improvement Program. Special thanks to the Board of Aldermen for approving $1.5 million from the city's ARPA funds towards this effort. Please take the municipal agenda with you and review it when you have a chance. And now, without further ado, it is my distinct honor and privilege to turn the podium over to the Honorable Neil M. O'Leary, 46th Mayor of the City of Waterbury, first elected in 2011 for his annual address. Mayor O'Leary's career has been marked by a deep commitment to Waterbury. As we all know, Mayor O'Leary has a can-do attitude to effect positive change through collaboration and community building. This event is an extension of that collaboration, and we are so grateful for the opportunity to have him with us here today. Mayor.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chamber. Hey, everyone. How we doing? What a crowd. Thank you. My God. It's obviously an honor and a privilege to be here with you for the annual State of the City address. Of course, before I jump in, I'd like to offer a special thank you to the Waterbury Regional Chamber and, of course, their president and CEO, Lynn Ward, for putting this obviously successful event together. I also have some thank you. So I'll tell you how this is going to go. I'm going to give you an update on the state of the city and recognize some folks, and then we're going to talk a little bit about crime, and then we're going to talk about the future, my future and the city's future. Thank you. So I'm going to go through this rather quickly. I hope it won't be too quickly, but I want to offer some time for Q&A, which the last couple of years seem to have worked really well. Before I get started, I want to recognize some very special people to me that are here today from the Archdiocese of Hartford: Monsignor James Shanley, Father Stephen Boguslawski, Father James Sullivan. They're here representing Archbishop Blair, and we've developed quite a relationship over the last 10 years working with the city and the Archdiocese to turn some of the assets into some meaningful and very productive and useful pieces of property in the city. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to work with these gentlemen, and their heart and soul lies within the city of Waterbury. Thank them. So we're going to present our fiscal year 2024 budget to the Board of Aldermen on March 30th. The proposed budget will be based upon a 5-year phase-in of the October 1st, 2022 revaluation. The fiscal year 24 budget will reflect cost challenges. I see all of my mayors over there from the Naugatuck Valley COG. I think they can all relate to. This is a very unique year that we're all faced with. I've been in office now, I'm in my 12th year, but never ever have seen inflation impact a budget as it has this fiscal year. So we're dealing with it, they are dealing with it. We're all working together and trying to figure out how to best serve our constituencies in meaningful ways without reducing services, but also recognizing where people are financially. As you all know, the city recently completed a state-mandated 5-year property tax revaluation. The new taxable grand list is valued at $6.8 billion. Real estate values have increased by $2.1 billion. As we all know, property values in Waterbury are much different than they were 5 years ago in 2017. In many ways, we're a victim of our own success. The real estate portion of the city's net grand list increased by 62%, with residential property value growth far outpacing commercial property growth. In order to keep property tax bills manageable for the hardworking taxpayers of Waterbury, our proposed budget will be based on the 5-year phase-in, as I mentioned. The phase-in leaves the option on the table to implement another revaluation if for some reason the property values change or decline over the next 5 years. Next, we'll look at the city's bond rating. We're very, very proud of this. In May of 2022, Kroll Bond Rating upgraded our bond rating from AA minus to AA, just 2 levels below AAA rating. It wasn't that long ago, 2019, 20, and 21, the City of Waterbury's bond rating was BBB minus junk. There's been a lot of hard work that has gone into this over the last 20 years, and my gratitude will always be to the Waterbury State Oversight Board, who came in from 2001 to 2006 and put in some incredible policies, fiscal policies, and fiscal management that we follow each and every day. I'd also like to next just talk a little bit about some of the projects that we have going on, most of which are being managed by the Waterbury Development Corporation, Tommy Hyde, Ron Casella, and team. We're obviously still doing our park improvement plan, which we've been doing for the last 11 and a half years. The first on your screen is 909 Bank Street. This is a pocket park in Brooklyn, which was a formerly blighted, burnt out Bobby Allen's bar. You should see how beautiful it is down there. We named that park after Lisa Velez, the Brooklyn neighborhood president, who unfortunately has passed, and Lieutenant Vincent Riddick, who unfortunately passed as well. Next, we have Library Park. If it wasn't for Webster Bank and the commitment from Jim and Kathy Smith, we wouldn't be where we are with Library Park today. But if you haven't been there, you should get down there. It's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. It's so, it's just wonderful to see people from downtown Waterbury gathering in the park each and every day for lunch, and from the courthouses and so on and so forth. And it really has been a magnificent improvement for our beautiful downtown Waterbury. We also did the Prospect Street the Prospect Street parking. We tore down the ramp garage and put some surface parking in there, which is a great amenity to downtown Waterbury, and of course, our Basilica. Time Expo building has been vacant for a long time, as you probably know, over at the Brass City space that we have, and thanks to Mike O'Connor and many others, the State Education Resource Center just moved into the building. after many years of vacancy, and they're a great tenant. And what's amazing is that they focus on special education. They're a perfect complement to the efforts and work that we are doing with special ed programs in our city, and looking forward to that very rewarding partnership. Skipping over some of this stuff, sparing you. One of the major projects that's going to start just in several weeks and is going to be a major inconvenience for many, and we're really sorry about that, but is the downtown utility replacement and streetscape project. So you might be familiar with the East Main Street project that we just completed, which was a massive inconvenience for everyone along East Main Street from the Exchange Place to the police station. And the problem is simple. You know, all the infrastructure in the ground is more than 100 years old, and it's just falling apart, literally falling apart. Water main breaks, electrical issues. You might remember some of the electrical issues in front of the Yukon not that many years ago, explosions, so on and so forth. And we are taking a very preventative measure for Bank Street and South Main Street. We do not want those major streets in our downtown to deteriorate the way East Main Street was allowed to. So we're going aggressive. It's a $10 million project. We're replacing all the utilities underground, 7,000 total feet of water and sewer lines, along with laterals and other things. That work is being funded through the Lot SIP program, thank you NVCOG, and also some ARPA funding. So just be patient. It'll be really nice, but it'll be 18 months, maybe a little bit longer. But when it's done, it'll be done for another 100 years, hopefully. Freight Street development might be one of the things we're most proud of recently. This property is a key place in our efforts to redevelop the Freight Street corridor. 170 Freight Street property will be consolidated with 130 Freight Street property. We've demolished 130 Freight Street and 000 West Main Street, as you can see when you drive by. 170 Freight Street will be demolished in the spring or early summer this year. With that, all parcels will be put together, if you will, joined together, which will give us 20 acres of land right in the heart of downtown Waterbury. Moving down to the south end, the demolition of the Animet property has changed. I'm looking at Joan Hartley and thinking about all the discussions we had 10 years ago on this, and a few others in the room for sure. It took us a long time with Freight Street and the Animet property, but boy, it's pretty exciting as to what's happening down there now. We've done an amazing demolition project down there. We have a tenant that's very interested in coming into the property, and hopefully we'll have some really good news to tell you about soon. Other property in the south end that's quite amazing, the development is 313 Mill Street, the old Fleischer finishing. You might remember the big fire down there, probably 2014 or 15. We just have been so fortunate on all of these projects to get the support of the governor, both this governor, Governor Lamont, and his predecessor, Governor Malloy, to get these projects up and moving. 313 Mill Street, Fleischer finishing, will now be an amazing ball field with bathrooms, concession stand, and so on. And it's going to be a great opportunity for the residents of the South End, which are really, quite frankly, in a recreation desert down there. Of course, the food hub is also down there. We're adding to that. We've just secured $2.3 million in more funding to expand that program, which is, again, to the residents of the South End of Waterbury, which in my opinion has been a long neglected area of the city. And I think it's only right and just that we focus on the South End and keep that going in a forward direction. This is going to be a great project to keep an eye on, folks. The Hamilton Park and Bathhouse replacement will undergo a major, and I mean major, this is our biggest park project, transformation with the replacement of the pool and the addition of a 3,200 square foot new pool house with a promenade, and that's all adjacent to the Seven Angels Theater. Once we finish that, will be phase one. Phase two will be the rest of the park. And I ain't got to tell you, that park is so unbelievable. It's just absolutely beautiful. And we're going to make it as beautiful as Fulton Park and all the other parks that we've done so far. And it's very exciting to see all that. It's really amazing when you see every weekend when the weather's right to see these parks. They're absolutely full of great people, recreating, having a good time, getting along with one another, and it's just a great opportunity. We've got the most beautiful, beautiful parks in the city. They're amazing, and so amongst the most beautiful in the state. When I came into office, we had 1 splash pad that worked, 11 that didn't, and we now have 16 brand new ones. They all work, and guess what? Fire department. We haven't had 1 open fire hydrant since we did all that work. So we're really proud of all that and really raising the quality of life in a lot of these impoverished neighborhoods that deserve hope, particularly what we've done in the South End. Greenway, again, in the South End, Phase 2 is funded through the RAISE grant. Thank you to our federal delegation. Phase 1, of course, was an $8 million project, part of the Tiger grant on Freight Street. Phase 2 is $9 million more. That's been secured, and that will bring the trail from the Naugatuck line all the way up to the West Main Street Bridge, West Main and Henry Street Bridge. So we're excited about that. Trails will run through or adjacent to some of the largest industrial sites in the city, including the Freight Street Corridor and Animet. Final completion of Phase 2 will be 4.5 miles of Waterbury's 7.5-mile trail, which will be constructed. The next phase will be Phase 3. We'll go from West Main Street to the Thomaston line. During the pandemic, as you well know, many property owners downtown were unable to hold on to their tenants. A new economic development initiative called the Central Business District Investment Program is aimed at providing property owners funds to attract small businesses to lease their vacant storefronts. $1.5 million has been earmarked for this program, and grants up to $100,000 may be awarded to restore the interior or exterior of these buildings and space. Since the applications became available in August, 40 business owners have inquired. 11 property owners expressed interest in the program as well. So we're really excited about this. We're not where we need to be in downtown yet, though. Boy, we were doing great, weren't we? I mean, it was really happening in downtown Waterbury to the likes of which we hadn't seen in 20 and 30 years, and the pandemic came. And we're aggressively trying to get our employers, larger employers, to bring our people back to work in downtown, boots on the ground. In the meantime, there are a number of buildings that have been sold recently, and the developers plan to put market rate apartments in those buildings, which will put more boots on the ground as well. And let me just tell you that the market rate apartments that we have in Waterbury, the 2 major buildings, both of them have very long waiting lists. So we're excited about the future for downtown Waterbury. My administration has also committed $1.7 million to fund programming and office space for the Women's Development Council. This will go into the old Howland Hughes building, and clearly this is going to be a great opportunity for people who want to get some support and assistance for startup businesses. So again, that's another project that's supported by the ARPA dollars. Last month, the city's Board of Aldermen approved a $2 million ARPA-funded grants to 37 of our nonprofits here in the city of Waterbury. These organizations provide critically important community-based services to our most vulnerable residents. The awards range from $3,000 to $150,000, and projects which include programs, services, and capital improvements for their nonprofits. It is anticipated that organizations will start receiving these critical funds in April. Now I'd like to take a moment to talk about the University of Connecticut in downtown Waterbury. As you know, and have read in the newspapers, the University of Connecticut has been designated as a center of excellence for allied health. We're proud of that. It took many years to get the university to recognize the campus in downtown Waterbury, and we need more 4-year Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts programs down there. With the incoming president, Radenka Merrick, and the new director of Waterbury UConn, who is here with us today, Dr. Fumiko Heft. I am really excited about the future of Waterbury UConn in downtown. Fumiko is committed to as committed to Waterbury as anyone I've seen over the last 11 years. I'm very excited about her. She's a very dynamic leader. Few people have displayed energy, optimism, and hope and excitement for Waterbury as Fumiko has. And I have to tell you, working with the Waterbury Public School System, we have seen an amazing increase in the enrollment in Waterbury Yukon downtown just over the last year. And most of our students are going for allied health, which is perfect for us. As you know, we have 2 hospitals, and both Trinity, St. Mary's, and Waterbury Hospital, who are all here today. We're really proud of the collaboration with them and Waterbury Yukon and Naugatuck Valley Community College and Post University, because we're really making forward progress in getting our students enrolled in these programs and giving them an opportunity to stay right here in their community and give back through the Allied Health Program. Phew. Next, I just want to take a minute and talk about another game-changing program and really life-changing program that's called the Waterbury Promise Program. It's called Waterbury Promise, and the scholarship and college success programs will make it possible for Waterbury students to go to college and create a brighter future for them. There's a Promise program in Hartford and a Promise program in New Haven that have been up and running for 10 years. We felt it was high time for our Waterbury students to be given an opportunity for post-secondary education, and we started this Waterbury Promise program, and we're really proud of it. Right now, it's in its first year. We have 190 students enrolled in college in 13 colleges and universities throughout Connecticut. And we're just so thrilled by the leadership over there at Waterbury Promise Program, led by Keelanda Mall, who was here, I think, today, along with the development director, Hetty Ayers. We're very excited about this. And the reason why is that the colleges and universities in Connecticut, specifically so far, University of Connecticut and Eastern State Connecticut University, have matched scholarships for all of our students up to $5,000 each. $5,000 each. So $5,000 for the Waterbury Promise, $5,000 from UConn, $10,000 a year. That should give every student an opportunity to attend Waterbury, UConn, and BCC, and Post right here in our own city. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that Cigna, which is our third-party administrator, was an early supporter and became a founding champion of Waterbury Promise, committing $500,000 in scholarship support over the next 4 years. I also want to thank Thomaston Savings Bank and Eversource for becoming the program's newest corporate partners. It's just an amazing thing. And let me just say this. If you want to feel good, if you really want to feel good about what you're doing, sponsor a Waterbury Promise Scholar. You'll feel unbelievable. And if you want to really, really accentuate that, go to our annual meeting when the scholarships are awarded, and you'll see parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles and siblings from all over the world with tears running down their cheeks because this is the very first time their dreams could ever be come true, seeing their child have an opportunity to go to college, the very first time. Very emotional. Thank you. Before I forget, please take one of the Waterbury Promise cards on your table, scan the QR code to learn more and discover how you can become a Waterbury Promise partner today. Okay, I covered that. By the way, we had a really good year. Even though we're still getting out of COVID, we had 26 new businesses move into Waterbury in 2022, and we're really proud of that. Really, really strong businesses, and some of the businesses are focusing on health. And we have PAM Medical, which is a kind of like Gaylord Hospital, but not. But Pam Medical is breaking ground as we speak and is going to build a multi-million-dollar facility to help those folks who are suffering and need more rehabilitation. As you know, Gaylord is a premier institution for healthcare in our state. There's just not enough beds. And this PAM Medical will provide additional relief for that. I'm proud of it. 84 Vista Project. Bob LaFlamme and Joe Pisani are here. We're really proud of that project as well. That in itself will provide more opportunity for medical buildings and medical care. And of course, with everything happening in the city of Waterbury with Trinity and Waterbury Hospital, it's just a perfect time to have some opportunities to expand those services to our people and our residents so that they don't have to go to New Haven and Hartford and Bridgeport. Right here in Waterbury, folks. And they deserve that, and we deserve that, and you deserve that. I also want to talk about, just for a moment, I have been recently appointed the co-chair of the Opioid Settlement Committee. You might remember in 2016, Waterbury was the first city to bring a lawsuit against the opioid big pharma. And everybody looked at us like we were crazy. And we even got some negative publicity out of it all. But at the end of the day, every Connecticut state, every Connecticut town and city joined in, and then across the country. And we're really proud of it because within the next several years, Connecticut will receive up to $600 million from these big pharmaceutical companies and others who pushed this poison on our kids. And Waterbury has already received $500,000, but I am the co-chair, along with my other chair is Commissioner Nancy Navarrete, who is the chair of DEMAS, and she's great and pretty cool. And together, we will be working with all of our cities. I am the person who represents the cities and towns, and I will be representing and working hard to make sure that the cities and towns get the money that they need to work on this opioid crisis. And you can bet your life we're going to work hard. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're okay. Whew. This is an election year. So this is not a great subject to talk about, but I thought it was a good time to talk about it. And I would like you all to look underneath your plates or near your plate, and there's a handout there. And I brought this up. This is really very, very important for you to look at, and there's a reason why. And you're going to figure it out quickly. I've never done this before, but I'm at a point in my life where I've never seen anything like this before. And I think we need to make sure that we're all understanding of where we are here in the state of Connecticut and throughout the country. So as you all know, the rise in violent crime and gun crime has been absolutely heartbreaking since COVID. I will point out that in 2019, Waterbury had the lowest crime rate for violent crime that we had seen in a decade. COVID comes, schools shut down, state court systems shut down, Department of Probation, Department of Parole shut down. People are released early from whatever incarceration facility they're in. A lot of things happen. All of a sudden, crime rate starts going up. Juvenile crime rate starts going up. Last year, NVCOG and your mayors over here, along with Governor Lamont and others, put together what we call the Juvenile Task Force Bill to address the rise and the juvenile crime, stolen cars, accidents, drive-by shootings, robberies, purse snatchings. And the bill has been pretty effective, I have to say. We've seen a reduction in juvenile crime, although this morning, if you saw the news, 5 kids were involved down in Hamden and all kinds of craziness. But the truth is, it's always going to be there, but we have put more layers of accountability in on juvenile crime. The pendulum swung really far left on a lot of these issues, especially for those of us who have been in law enforcement for as long as I have, which is, 43 years. So we together, Luke Bronin, in all fairness, started this violent crime task force about 6 months ago, recognizing the impacts of violent crime in Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, and Waterbury. And we met for, oh my God, I don't know how many times over the last 6 months, organized by the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, which I was the president of for 2 years. And Tommy Dunn is here with us now. He's the mayor of Wolcott. He's the president now. And before him was Mayor Bronin, who came in after me. But anyways, take a look at these. Take a look at these statistics. I'm going to have to go down here because the print on my thing is too small. But maybe I got it over here. I do. Good. So I just want you to look at this for a second, then we're going to move on. This is Waterbury. But New Haven, Hartford, and Bridgeport are no different. Actually, Hartford's worse. But look at the people arrested for fatal and non-fatal shootings while on pretrial release, otherwise known as out on bond, probation, or parole. 2021 in Waterbury, there were 31 individuals arrested for fatal or non-fatal shootings in our city. Out of those 31, 20% were out on bond, 20% more were out on probation, and 12% more were out on parole. So add it up. 52% of the people responsible for fatal and non-fatal shootings in the city of Waterbury were people with long records, violent records, felony records, firearm records. 20% out on bond, 12% out on probation, 12% out on parole. Move over to 2022. It's interesting, it's the same number, but 31 more individuals arrested for violent, fatal, or non-fatal shootings in Waterbury. 30% in 2022. 30% out on bond for other charges. 40% out on probation. 0% in 22 out on parole. What's happening here? What's happening is that you can't blame or even think it's the fault of the police officers in Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, or Waterbury. They're working 24/7, day and night, to keep us safe. They are as frustrated as I am standing before you, seeing these people coming in and out after they've been arrested with guns, drug possession, ghost guns, violent crimes. The laws have changed, giving more rights to those arrested than you all here in this room. The bond rules have changed. In the old days, you had to put up a percentage of a bond to get out of jail. It's different today. You can get out of jail putting up 7% of whatever the bond is set in court. 7%. And who's committing these crimes? People with more money than all of us. Drug dealers, bad people. These are the ones. 7%? Doesn't mean anything. They're out before almost before they go in. And this is troubling. But if you want to look a little further, flip your page over. Let's look at the victims. Who are the victims? Now, we've had some really sad cases in Waterbury over the last 2 years where innocent people minding their own business. One lady actually making a dress for her granddaughter at a sewing machine in Waterbury got shot and killed at her sewing machine. But I will tell you that many of the victims, as you're about to see, are people who are involved in a negative way with the criminal justice system. In 2021, in Waterbury, victims of fatal and non-fatal shootings while on pretrial release, probation, or parole, in Waterbury, there were 70 individuals who were victims of gun violence. 11% of those people were out on bond, 13% out on probation, and 3% out on parole. 27% of those victims were people who have been incarcerated or in the system. 2022, the number rose to 96, yet not unique to Waterbury. The number of gun victims across the country went up from 2021 to 2022. Who are those victims? 8% out on bond, 21% out on probation, 1% out on parole. 30% of those victims, 30% of them were people that have been through the system. Victims of fatal and non-fatal shootings with prior violent felonies or firearms convictions. You can read for yourself. So out of the 70, you've got 40% on 21, and look at 2022, 45% with violent felonies, 18% with firearm convictions. If you look over to the right, you will see there were suspected people that were suspects in fatal and non-fatal shootings that have not been arrested. 8 of those individuals, 25% of them out on bond, 63% with violent felonies, 50% firearm convictions. Police are working 24/7, exhausted, spending time away from their families every weekend, holidays, you name it. They're working around the clock. So when you hear about crime in Connecticut or anywhere in the country, don't look to the police. Look to the legislature. Look to the legislature, because our task force came out with a bill. Governor Lamont has been supportive and is supporting the bill. Chief State's Attorney Patrick Griffin is supporting the bill. Fred Spagnola testified on the bill recently. We all sent in either in-person testimony or written testimony about what's happening in our communities, in our state. And if you think that this is not impacting the life in a suburban town or city in Connecticut, think again, because it is in a big way. We need to understand what's happening in our state. And at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that the recommendations that the mayor's task force has put in the form of a bill that is being discussed this session, we will get some hard wins here. And the hard wins are basically that if you're out on bond, if you're out on parole, and you're out on probation, and you engage in gun violence, any other form of felony violence, your bond is revoked, your probation is revoked, and your parole is revoked. Period. But let me clue you all in. During the testimony, and you're welcome to look at it, and you want to look at it, you just call my office, and I'd be happy to plug you into it. During the public hearing, chiefs across the state, municipal leaders across the state were grilled by members of the Judiciary Committee. Grilled. saying that we were coming down too hard, that these requests were not right, that they were targeting the wrong people. You want to watch it? I'll send you the link. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I got to tell you, is that really the direction the state should be going in? I don't think so. And but people are afraid. Lawmakers are afraid. They're actually, honestly, some are intimidated to say what they really think. Others aren't sure. And then there is just the usual bureaucracy of government getting in the way. But the reality is we need to focus on what's happening out there on our streets. Innocent people are being harmed. And if they're not being harmed, folks, they're witnessing this kind of chaos on the street. And if you don't think that that's impacting their lives, think again, especially our young people. Especially our young people. When some young person, or not young person, sees another person shot in front of their very own eyes, they will never, ever forget it and always live with that fear. So I bring this to you today because you need to know. Now, we are hopeful that we're going to have positive negotiations on our bill, but I will tell you that, as hopeful as I am, I had a conversation just yesterday that was discouraging. That was really discouraging, with hard pushback from the chairs of the judiciary on some of our proposals, and it's really saddening to me, and that's why I'm here getting myself in a whole lot of trouble with all of you here today. So there's 400 witnesses to my trouble. Okay. That's enough of that. All right, I think it's probably time for my remarks, for me and you and us together. I want to give you a little history, walk you back through time on my career here in the city of Waterbury. And I've had a lot to think about over the last few days, putting some notes together. But on April 7th, 1980, I was 21, by the way, Mayor Mike Bergen, many of you would remember him, swore me in as a patrolman for the Waterbury Police Department. Since that day, I've always felt that working for the city was a privilege, not an entitlement. I worked my way up through the ranks, a few bumps in the road, and retired as chief of police in 2009. The day I retired, I was appointed to the school board as a commissioner, where I served until the day I was sworn in as mayor of the city of Waterbury on December 1st, 2011. This April 7th will be my 43rd consecutive year of service to our city and my 12th consecutive year as mayor. I stand before you today with the utmost humility and gratitude. I have loved, and I mean it, I've loved every minute of these last 40 years of service to the city, both as chief of police, especially as chief of police and mayor. I've had the most rewarding life of being in a position to help so many people along the way, and working hard to make this city a better place to live, work, and play. There have been many, many happy and fulfilling moments, and unfortunately, as life is, there's been some excruciatingly sad moments as well. We have lost so many family and friends along the way. But through it, we have never, ever given up. We never lost our focus. not even once. And we have always managed to come out on top, thanks to our faith in God, believing in ourselves, believing in each other, and the support of the amazing people that we serve. After much agonizing thoughts and reflections, I have decided that this will be my last term as mayor of our city. I want to thank my amazing family for without their support and love, this journey would not have been possible. I really have been blessed. I will always be grateful to Governor Dan Malloy and Governor Ned Lamont for believing in me and our city and their continuous support. These things don't happen. They just don't, folks, without relationship building. And the tens of millions of dollars that have been pumped into this city through the Malloy administration, I shouldn't say tens of millions, hundreds of millions, through the Malloy administration, continued by the Lamont administration, has been transforming. A couple big things. The 84 East widening project. What that's done to this city has been amazing. First of all, you can get through the city, which you couldn't before. That was the very first thing I asked the governor, then Governor Malloy, for. And it's been amazing. And all of the property on Reedville Drive went up tenfold, which is very good for the grand list. And then the industrial parks that were vacated or empty are all full, which is really amazing. Because people came to Waterbury because you could get in and out of Waterbury. Manufacturers came, other businesses came, all types of restaurants, and you can see for yourself out on Reedville Drive. They all came. And we're so proud of it because it should have happened a long time ago, honestly. But it didn't, for a lot of reasons, but it did this last 12 years. Look at the train station, $120 million investment. $120 million investment that Governor Malloy initiated and Governor Lamont followed through on the rail line service between Waterbury and Bridgeport. Federal guidelines, we're in compliance with all the United States Department of Transportation guidelines. We can put anything we want on those rail lines. We also have freight on the rail line now. And all of the towns and cities between here and Bridgeport, which is a lot of which are represented right over there, are benefiting just like Waterbury. And we're so proud of the fact that the property values anywhere near and around a train station from here to Bridgeport have gone up exponentially. There's a lot of good things for the future of the state of Connecticut, but especially what we care about, what I care about, is the Naugatuck Valley, because we've been underfunded for a long, long time. And it's about time that we get the commitment and have the commitment that should be coming our way. Not only in the rail service, and she's not here right now, but Senator Hartley has left because she had to go back for God knows what up at the Capitol. But the truth is, Joan and myself had some pretty interesting discussions about the rail line service and the continuation of the commitment from one governor to the next governor, and it worked because we've got the new train cars are coming. If you go by the train station in Waterbury every day, you can see, of course, we redid that whole place on the outside. We're hoping to sign a lease on the inside, the southern side soon, and that will give us at least a little bit of a warming area for people who are traveling to and from. But when you saw what happened in Waterbury during COVID and the 4,000 new people who moved into Waterbury, mostly from New York, the reason why they came, strong middle-class neighborhoods, strong neighborhood schools, safe communities compared to what they were used to, right? But at the end of the day, they had opportunity to jump on a train and go down to their jobs in New York City. And a backyard where they could have a dog, a cat, and push a carriage around a neighborhood. That's why these people are here. And by the way, the best part of this story is that they think the taxes are really low. Gotta love that. And every neighborhood in the city of Waterbury has seen some of these new folks move in. And they're fun. They're fun to have around. It's a very diverse population. They think they're in heaven, and they are. I mean, they walk out their door. It's fun to watch them figure out how to rake the leaves and shovel the snow. But, you know, it's really, it's just amazing. And I'm really, really proud of it all. I also must recognize members of our Board of Aldermen for the last 12 years, led by our board president, Paul Pernaruski. Paul and I have worked on every project in this city for the last 11 and a half years. And he's always had my back and been a very loyal friend. He has been the rudder of this journey, and I will always be grateful for his guidance, support, and loyalty, and his ability to get things done and passed through the Board of Aldermen. But I also thank you. I want to thank all the aldermen, of which almost everyone is here. I'm so proud of everyone for being here today. You know, we caucus before the meetings. We have these great discussions. Unfortunately, DG's not here because he's always the highlight of pain and suffering in a caucus. And if you know DG, he's a police officer in the city, and he's an alderman, and he's also a state representative. And he and Ron Napoli and Larry Butler and Jerry Reyes have really done an amazing job for us. We have a very strong delegation representing us in Hartford, led by our Queen, Joan Hartley. And we have good support from our Republican representatives as well, of which many are here. You know, the funny thing is, it's like the NVCOG. There's actually more. NVCOG is made up of 19 towns. I've been fortunate enough to chair it for the last, I think, 8 years. But 19 towns, more Republicans than Democrats. But the truth is, that baloney doesn't get in the way, ever. Ever. We have the best COG in the state, and I love telling the governor that. We really do. Everybody's polite and respectful and cares. They care about their community and they care about their region. And I'm really proud of these guys and girls, and I'm just so happy. You know, COGS, 19 towns, new leaders come and go over the last, 12 years. But really, that table, they're all pretty much veteran leaders. But, the truth of the matter is, it's fun to go to a COG meeting because you feel really good when you leave it because you're taking care of somebody's problems all the time. And it's a lot of fun. I also want to recognize our department heads and, of course, the members of my office. I know it hasn't been easy. I hope all of you are managing your PTSD well. I was at an interview 4 years ago when I was running, and Dennis House said to me, someone described working for you as intense. I said, really? I can't believe that, Dennis. I also want to thank Kenny Kern. Kenny Kern's got the hardest job. He's the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee in Waterbury. I don't know why anyone with any brains would take that job. I really don't. And he's got a lot of brains, this kid. But somehow he keeps all the straight cats together. And, as a team, we've worked well together. And before I stop, I just want to say, I recognize and am very proud of the Republican members of the Board of Aldermen and the Republican members of the Board of Education. I really am. We rarely disagree. I mean, listen, politics being politics, it is what it is. But do you know what we do after every Board of Aldermen meeting? All of us go out to dinner at the San Marino. That's where we go. And look, there may be some discussions and whatever. But at the end of the day, we have the best group of aldermen and women I've ever seen, and I've been involved with this stuff for 43 years. I mean, it is the best group. And the only thing that they're concerned about is putting the city forward every time. And it is very unique. And it's wonderful to see it because it makes your life feel very rewarding when you're me, as the mayor, to get these projects done. And I'm very, very proud of each and every one of them because they have gotten pressure to do the opposite. And they've rebuked that pressure thus far. And look, it's hard, thank you. It's hard to deny, I think. I mean, you know, very humbly, I'll tell you, I think that the city is in the best shape it's ever been in, starting from the fiscal point of view. We're moving forward. We've got businesses moving in. We're taking care of our people. It's a very challenging job every day. It's the times that we're in, the uneasiness down in Washington, the uneasiness and the bickering that goes on at the state level. It's not easy, you know, and it's not. But you know what it is? At the end of the day, it's rewarding because we're still moving forward. And we're moving the city forward. And we don't have to go backwards and talk about where we've been. But where we've been and where we are now is an amazing place. And we're really, really proud. And without all of you who show up at all of these events, it wouldn't be possible. And lastly, I want to talk about the 4-year term. If it were not for the 4-year term that this chamber worked so hard to get in 2015, that made all the difference. All the difference, because once the 4-year term came in, I wasn't, or any mayor before me, wasn't beholden to organized labor every other year. 4 times I've been through what's called binding arbitration, which is a trial. And I've been through binding arbitration 4 times in the last 12 years. Not because I didn't want to give the teachers, the cops, and the firemen, the school administrators what they were asking for, but because we couldn't. Because we're still shoveling out of our mess. And 4 times we prevailed in front of binding arbitration because the city had such a story to tell, both of where we were, dark, and where we are, brighter. And we've worked really hard, and the police officers and the firefighters know what I'm talking about, and all the other city employees know what I'm talking about. It's the only way we can keep the ball moving in a forward direction is to stand tough and stand tall, be fair, be as generous as we can, but we're not going back to those dark days. Just not happening. And so I just challenge all of you to make sure that whoever represents the mayor, whoever the next mayor is or during the campaign, you hold them accountable to make sure that we don't go backwards to those dark days. Because right now, with a AA bond rating, there's no other city except Stamford that has a AA bond rating, folks. I'm talking about an urban city in the state of Connecticut. And that's why the bond rating keeps going up, because we're holding fast and strong to the policies that have been put in place, and we're fighting for them. And we're fighting for you, and I'm going to say goodbye now, and I want to wish you all a great day. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting the chamber. Thank you to Lynn and staff. What a beautiful event. Thank you to the Bella Vista. We have more events here. We love it here. I'm still waiting for an apartment upstairs. But the truth is, the D'Elia family and Andrew and all of the staff here are just amazing folks. Thank them on your way out. And I'm thanking each and every one of you. God bless you all.
Wow, thank you so much, Mayor. The Waterbury Regional Chamber has certainly enjoyed a long working relationship with the mayor, with the Board of Aldermen, with all the city officials, and we appreciate everything you've done to support the business community, not only in Waterbury, but it does trickle through the region. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for our sponsors, the long list of companies that are so supportive to our Waterbury Regional Chamber and to our whole community. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.